Hi everyone, I'm Martin Gray, author of The Pretty Boys of Gangstertown. I should have said something. Why don't they try speaking English? He muttered, the back of a flat cap shaking slowly, as a Polish family stowed their luggage a little up the carriage. A private assumption hiding in the background noise of the train as it pulled away from the airport station. Shouldn't be here if you can't speak English, she mumbled. I wonder what she'd define as should. If she'd flown back from a country where she speaks the language fluently, her suitcase full of polyglot mentality. What annoys me is when they get on with their shopping trolleys, he murmured. You ask them to move their bags and they say no. I lean into the gap between us, of the blotches and wrinkles in the face below the flat cap, to ask him what he meant exactly. Why a family without a trolley was making him so angry. Can't do anything yet, she mouthed, her closing eyes nodding with agreement, my resigning eyes averting from what she'd want to do and when she thought it would be acceptable to do it. Falling back into how they'd be deceived when their problems didn't leave after those who shouldn't be here had gone. And I said nothing.
Hello, I'm Anne Clark and I write as A.C. Clark. I'm going to read Jenny Geddes, which is a poem which is going to appear in the new Demos anthology. It's about Jenny Geddes, an Edinburgh market woman who, along with other people in St Giles Cathedral, led an uprising against the minister, whose name was Hannay, because he was trying to conduct the service using the Book of Common Prayer, the Anglican Book of Common Prayer, which they saw as very similar to Catholic practice and which was anathema to them as Presbyterians. So Jenny Geddes in St Giles. Thump. The fald stool flying through the air catches the minister off balance. Does he think the good wives of Canongate will take his Romish service sitting down? Jenny's first up, foul-mouthing him and his flock. Her market trader's voice has bawled out a wheen of diddlers. Woe worth the day that any chiel should try to cozen her out of her due. Hannay's no better, spite of his priest's gown. In seconds, it's raining stools, stones, even Bibles, as if the word of God could strike the blaspheme out of his mouth. The noise, it summons up the officers. Shoved out, the hecklers pound the bolted door. Why should the king's minions defile their worship? Bad cess to them. No crying quits for Jenny and her fellows. To arms.
Hi everybody, happy Christmas. I'm sorry I can't be there in person, but I'm going to read a Christmassy poem. I'm Rachel Bauer and my daughter was born on Christmas Day. So I'm going to read a poem for her and it's from my book, These Mothers of Gods. So Christmas Day, daughter arriving. You arrive early, impatient and purple, but beautiful, gaping for milk, small fists battering without aim. The turkeys on freeze for New Year won't be missed. The midwife arrives just in time to sweep you from the pool after a sneaky turkey dinner with her grown-up kids, swift half stout, here to welcome you as one of the winners, bursting into our world of tinsel and trees. What a cracker you are. Our bubbles, our flaming plum pudding, and since you're all we need, we pour ourselves clumsily upstairs. Bed very far from the world, our brightest Christmas star.
Hi, I'm Katie Wimhurst, and this is an extract from my book, Snapshots of the Apocalypse. The story is Snapshots of the Apocalypse. Min despised the Tate Art and Refuge Centre. It contained little art and more refuse than refuge. She'd been approached by cat pimps in the cafe there, had witnessed fistfights over chocolate, and had once seen an artwork used as a frisbee. But today, staring at the empty food cupboard in her squat, she knew she'd have to go there if she wanted to eat. Shit, she muttered, slamming the cupboard door. Cursing the guy who'd yet again failed to deliver the bootleg goods, Min grabbed her bag and slung on her black PVC cape and beret. She then padlocked her squat's front door and marched down the long staircase. On the ground floor, the sign on the wall read, "The Royal College of Urchins." If anyone asked what she did these days, she said she was an urchin. A reasonable word, she thought, for how she kept urging herself on despite the relentless crap around, and indeed within her. Fortunately, few asked her profession these days. Had it really taken an apocalyptic world to end small talk? The former reception area was dusted with cobwebs, its blue carpet muddy with footprints. Min still recalled her first visit to this place, years ago as a medical student, but she tried not to think of the past. That was a different era before the floods and chaos, and she'd never finished her studies anyway. It'd been how she knew about this place, though, and why she'd come here to hide when her flat near Tottenham Court Road had burnt down in a riot. Outside, as ever, it was raining, but thankfully it was the Cameron kind, light, unobtrusive drizzle. There were a dozen official sorts of rain, all named after previous prime ministers. Min's favourite was Blair, in which swirling eddies made the rain spin. She didn't mind Rashford, a refreshing spring downpour. She disliked Thatcher, hard, unforgiving. The worst was Johnson, deceptively lightweight but soaked you through and through.
Hello, I'm JP Seabright, and this is called Choices, from the Demos Rising anthology. Throw yourself into the street, my love. Defend your homes with fists and knives, your children with guns and lives. Mother is making Molotovs at midnight, a recipe handed down in the family from Grandma, who told stories of democracy. How in times gone by there were choices. You'd elect a party to make decisions for all. Now 10 green bottles stand on our wall. The only parties are where someone has died, when we gather in darkness to celebrate a life and risk lighting candles to honour their light. The only choice is whether to run or fight when barriers are built to repel neighbours. Still, we imagine someone else will save us. So prepare your weapons of kitchen utensils, plan your escape route, or choose your death, singing songs of peace under your breath. Wipe the blood from the soil, clear the earth, make a hole, and there, in the dirt, plant a sunflower.
This poem's called Unite. They call him the poet of the placard, the political puntster, the people's sloganeer, the marshal of those hordes of words he calls upon to demonstrate, irritate, humiliate. He's the man ministers love to hate, for stripping bare their dressed-up lies to march them naked through the streets, exposing to the few bold enough to look the ugliness beneath their tailored suits. With rhyme and reason, he turns their fickle words against them, puts their probity on public trial, and prosecutes with precise wit, though he knows even the severest sentence will not take them down. They'll carry on the same, for words are but puffs of wind. It takes thousands of voices speaking as one to blow the hurricane that will bring them to their knees. Thank you.
Round Black Grains. At his wake, we talked about the time Justin nearly died in the Glen, trying to save the San Martins. Really, what was he thinking? The colony of birds had been living in the urban wilderness for as long as anyone could remember. Their nests, long tunnels, burrowed into the sandy deposits left behind when the glaciers receded. A consortium, Skellig Developments, planned to build houses beside the ancient abode, only to discover that the birds enjoyed protection under some obscure bylaw. They proposed a solution, a compromise it was called, to build the San Martins a new home, a short distance from where they had always lived. These units, concrete towers bristling with hollow pipes, were superior to sand dunes apparently, studies had showed. They didn't suffer from the damp, they were durable, and they could even be painted to appear as if they were part of the surrounding terrain. The city council was thrilled, finding itself marred in an ethical dilemma of stupendous proportions. Could progress run roughshod over these ancient dwellers? They finally saw a way out. Voting to lift the injunction, they accepted the generous offer from Skellig, and a few days later the new towers were hauled into position. That night a strange contraption also appeared in the glen, blocking access to the site. It had 3 spindly legs intersecting 4 meters above the ground. Hanging from the apex of the structure was a tiny capsule, not unlike a chaeroplane seat. Sitting in this was Justin. Agarda explained. He had seen the structure before a tripod, it was called, at an anti-Shell Oil protest in Mayo. It was designed to interdict the movement of ground vehicles along narrow lanes and roadways. It couldn't easily be moved. In fact, assistance would have to be summoned. This arrived shortly. From a van that said Garda, Specialist Unit, 3 police officers dressed in black alighted and filmed the scene. Their peaked baseball caps read GSU. And they had with them a dune buggy that they went around in for a while, mostly up and down the narrow track obstructed by the tripod. They examined the obstacle, took pictures with telescopic lenses, and rattled its spindly legs. They ascertained through a combination of measurements and stress tests that Justin's abode was structurally sound. A cherry picker was sent for, and Julie arrived, rented. It later emerged from a subsidiary of Skellig's called Skellig Equipment. We jeered and sang songs, held away at a distance as we were from the standoff by a robust chain-link fence.